Hey everyone, this is Miss Brooks with your daily dose of math. Today we're going to be taking a look at section 2 of chapter 1, solving linear equations. This is going to be the first part of our notes for section 2. We will have a second part of notes later on. We are going to begin this section by reviewing how to solve one-step equations. The process is simple. For one-step equations, you need to isolate the variable by undoing the given operation. So if something is being added or subtracted to your variable, do the opposite operation. Remember, addition and subtraction undo each other. Same thing with multiplication and division. If something is being multiplied, then we need to divide in order to undo that operation. And if something is being divided, then we need to multiply in order to undo that operation. So for one-step equations, all we are doing is undoing the given operation. So if we take a look at our first example, x plus 7 equals 19. Our goal when we solve equations is always to get the variable by itself. In this case, the x has a 7 being added to it. So we want to undo that adding 7 by subtracting 7 on both sides. Remember, when you solve an equation, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So when I solve this, the plus 7 and minus 7 cancel each other out. So all I have left is an x on the left-hand side. I'm going to drop down the equals and then perform the operation. 19 minus 7 is 12. So we have that x equals 12. Now, anytime that I solve an equation, I can also check my answer by plugging it back into the original problem. So I'm going to check my answer by plugging 12 back in for x. And as I do this, I'm asking myself, is 12 plus 7 19? Well, 12 plus 7 is 19. Therefore, this is an accurate statement, so I know my answer of 12 is correct. Our second example of a one-step equation is negative 3a equals 15. So again, anytime that we're solving an equation, the goal is to isolate the variable. In this case, we want to get a by itself. So we see there's a negative 3 with the a. So we need to ask ourselves, what is happening with the negative 3 and the a? Is it being added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided? If you said multiplication, you would be correct. The negative 3 is being multiplied with the a. So I need to undo that operation by dividing. So I'm going to divide by negative 3. Again, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side. So I divided by negative 3 on both sides. When I do this, negative 3 divided by negative 3 is going to cancel out. So I'm left with a equals, and then if I simplify, 15 divided by negative 3, I know a positive and a negative makes a negative, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. So a would be negative 5. Again, I can always check my answer by plugging it back in. If I plug in negative 5 back in for a, then this should work out to the correct answer. We would have negative 3 times negative 5 is 15. Well, I know when I multiply two negatives, that's a positive, and 3 times 5 is 15. Therefore, I know my answer of a equals negative 5 is correct. At this point, it is time for you to try solving your own one-step equation. Please pause the video and try solving z minus 15 equals negative 10. When you have finished solving this equation for z, resume the video to check your answer. To solve this equation for z, we want to get z all by itself. Right now, the z has a 15 being subtracted from it. So in order to get z by itself, I need to undo the subtraction of the 15 by adding 15 to both sides. When I do this, the negative and positive 15 cancel each other out, so all I'm left with is z. And negative 10 plus 15 is going to give us a positive 5. So for this problem, z equals 5. I would also like you to try the second problem. H over 4 equals 10. Again, pause the video, try the problem, and then resume playing. To solve this equation, h over 4 equals 10, we want to isolate the variable h. So right now you can see that the h is in a fraction. Remember, fractions mean division, so the h is currently being divided by 4. To undo that process of division, I will need to multiply both sides of my equation by 4. When I multiply the left side by 4, the denominator cancels with the 4 I just multiplied by, so I will just be left with h. Drop down your equal sign, and h is going to be 10 times 4, which is 40. So our answer to this equation is 40.